Here's the rewritten version without any photos, images, or visual references. Just pure narrative text, expanded slightly for better flow and emotional depth while keeping the dramatic storytelling style intact. It was one of those perfect early summer mornings in Meadowbrook, the kind where the sun filters through tall pines and everything feels peaceful until it doesn't. Rex Thornfield, 52, widowed, and still raw from 3 years without Sarah, stood behind his cedar fence with a mug of coffee that had long gone cold. He stared at the back half-acre of his 1.2-acre lot, the place Sarah had chosen 12 years earlier for her rose beds, her future pottery studio, and the quiet conservation dream she carried in her heart. Across the property line, Delphine Ashworth, the HOA president who wore red power suits like armor, stood smiling for a crowd of 20 neighbors. Silver scissors flashed in the light. She snipped the bright red ribbon with ceremony, and it drifted to the grass like a fallen flag. A glossy sign was driven into the soil. Community garden donated by Meadowbrook HOA. Applause broke out. Phones clicked. Children waved little flags. Delphine posed for selfies, soaking in the praise. Rex felt only the hollow echo of something being cut away forever. His phone buzzed. A text from Jake Sullivan, childhood friend, now county governor. Saw the garden on the news feed. Looks beautiful. Quick question. Whose land is that exactly? The ribbon lay crumpled in the dirt. Rex's dirt. Their celebration. And the most powerful man in the county had just asked the one question Delphine never wanted anyone to ask. What began as a feel-good ribbon cutting quickly became the biggest HOA scandal the region had ever witnessed. For months, Delphine had sold the story of reclaiming an abandoned eyesore for the community's benefit. She'd convinced contractors, neighbors, and even county staff that the back lot was HOA common space all along. But Rex had the receipts, 12 years of property taxes, utility bills, surveys. Sarah's ashes rested among those roses. This wasn't a mistake. It was calculated theft. Delphine had arrived in the neighborhood 8 years earlier, like a hurricane in designer shoes. A real estate agent with sharp elbows and sharper ambition, she climbed to HOA president within months. Her method was brutally effective. Spot the tiniest violation. Grass a quarter-inch too long, holiday lights left up past January 2nd, a car parked 6 inches over the line, then escalated into formal complaints, mandatory hearings, and fines so steep that most people simply sold and left. Sarah, always the gentle one, had welcomed her with homemade bread and gardening tips. Rookie mistake. Within a year, 3 longtime families had quietly moved away. Then cancer arrived. Stage 3 ovarian. 18 months of chemo, surgery, false hope, and crushing despair. In her final week, Sarah had taken Rex's hand, voice thin as paper, and whispered, "Promise me, don't let them pave paradise for a parking lot." 3 weeks after the funeral, the notices started arriving. Overgrown roses, unsafe shed, disruptive blackberries. Rex, lost in grief, ignored them. That was his mistake. Delphine smelled weakness and pounced. She sent assessors to measure every inch. She filed permits claiming the land was abandoned HOA property in need of restoration. She fabricated receipts, forged maintenance logs, submitted carefully angled photos that made Sarah's pottery shed look like a condemned ruin. She built a complete alternate reality on paper. Her husband, Bradley, controlled mortgages at the local bank. Her real estate firm influenced listings countywide. Cross her, and suddenly your loan was under review, your appraisal mysteriously low, your permits lost in the system. But Sarah had been preparing even while dying. She documented every thread, every suspicious letter. She'd found the 1987 covenant her grandfather had fought for, paying an extra $15,000 to exempt their lot from HOA control forever, recorded and never revoked. She'd mapped the corruption. Neighbors extorted, officials bribed. A looming $47 million sale of the entire subdivision that hinged on Delphine gaining complete community control. Rex's land was the final piece. Delphine's bonus for closing the deal, $2.3 million. Rex didn't charge in with rage. He remembered the old union wisdom from his electrician days. Liars always leave paper trails. Get the permits, kid. He gathered 12 years of proof, bills, taxes, photos, surveys. He installed trail cameras. He quietly recruited allies, terrorized neighbors, an environmental consultant who certified Sarah's garden as a valuable micro-wetland, a county records clerk who noticed Delphine's suspicious requests. Then the vandalism came. In the dead of night, figures in county uniforms chainsawed Sarah's memorial oaks, dumped industrial solvents around the pottery wheels, spray-painted hazard across the walls. Delphine immediately filed for emergency seizure, claiming sudden toxic contamination threatened children. But the cameras caught everything, including the truck belonging to Bradley's cousin. The evidence became overwhelming. Audio of Delphine bragging about buying off officials, hidden camera footage of a briefcase full of cash sliding across a desk, forged sale documents with Rex's signature traced so poorly it was laughable. Neighbors began confessing, threats to sabotage house sales, tax reviews, permit denials. A reporter published a devastating 3-part expose. The federal investigation ignited. The climax arrived on Delphine's deadline day, a packed community center meeting. Delphine strode inconfident until Governor Jake Sullivan walked through the door and took a front-row seat. Her smile froze. Rex stepped to the microphone, holding a framed photo of Sarah at her pottery wheel and the yellowed 1987 covenant. He laid it all bare: the fraud, the vandalism, the bribes, the extortion. Every illegal permit, every threatened family. Then the final strike. He announced he was donating the land as the Sarah Thornfield Memorial Wildlife Preserve, permanently protected forever beyond Delphine's reach. The room erupted in applause. Sheriff's deputies moved in. Handcuffs clicked. Delphine was arrested on federal charges: conspiracy, bribery, fraud, racketeering, environmental terrorism. Her network collapsed. Officials turned state's evidence. Allies fled. Her husband filed for divorce. Months later, Delphine pleaded guilty to 23 counts and received 8 years in federal prison, plus millions in restitution. The Sarah Thornfield Act became law. Mandatory HOA oversight, criminal penalties for document forgery, protections against municipal corruption, spreading to other states. Today, Sarah's roses bloom again. Deer graze in the meadow she loved. Children learn pottery and conservation in a restored studio. Rex drinks coffee each morning among the thriving flowers, feeling Sarah in the gentle breeze, knowing her sanctuary is safe forever. Justice didn't just arrive. It bloomed. If you've ever faced HOA harassment, remember, document everything, know your rights, build alliances, and never back down. Your home, your memories, your peace, they're worth more than anyone's profit margin. Share your own stories below.